Hi, Darren West from Prosper Health Collective. Today I want to talk about death anxiety. Yep, because death is an inevitable part of the human experience. And for many, the idea of death, it brings up sort of the fear and unease and dreads. And generally, these fears are often called death anxiety. And so death anxiety refers to the fears of fear, worry, and distress associated with the thoughts of one's own immortality or the mortality of others. And it can range from a mild sense of sort of unease to an overwhelming fear of terror. Death anxiety can be sort of become problematic in so many of our daily lives. For some people, there is this sort of constant worry or fear of what's going to happen when we die. For others, it may be sort of concern, worry about the sort of the physical implications of what happens, the pain, the loss of control that we may experience when we die. And for others, it's the social implications, such as the idea of being forgotten or leaving loved ones behind. As we age, and become closer and closer to death, it starts leading us to confront the uncomfortable sort of realization, that life is finite. And sort of psychologically, this subconscious desire, between prolonging life and achieving permanence, often clashes with the inescapable view that that death is a part of where we are, and so this to part of life, unfortunately, and so it causes this inner tension. And so, therefore, it does create a number of different symptoms, and some of these symptoms include a constant preoccupation with death, constantly sort of thinking and worrying about what's going to happen. Um, Physical symptoms, such as getting a tightness in the chest, dizziness, racing heart, can happen when we do think about death. Um, Sleep disturbances, we no longer sort of are unable to sleep because we're constantly worrying about what may happen, or having nightmares about our death, or sort of avoidance behaviours where we sort of we avoid situations or topics about death. So we avoid funerals, we avoid healthcare discussions, or even sort of considering long-term plans. And sort of existential or philosophical distress, leading to the questions of the meaning of life, what's one's purpose, and how do I reconcile mortality with the desire for fulfillment. So while death anxiety can be deeply distressing, there are several ways of coping with it. The goal isn't to eliminate the fear of death entirely, but to manage it in such a way that it doesn't interfere with one's quality of life. Some of the strategies may be embracing, the inevitability of death. It can be a very powerful tool in reducing death anxiety. Coming up with sort of philosophical or spiritual traditions to help us to sort of reflect on the finite nature of life. Therapy and counselling, psychological interventions such as cognitive behaviour therapy, CBT, and acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, can be helpful for individuals struggling with death anxiety, reframing negative thoughts associated with death, living a life of meaning. We create sort of lasting significance, whether through creative endeavours, professional achievements, family, or helping others. Living a purposeful life can provide individuals with a sense of continuity beyond this physical existence. Mindfulness and meditation. Yep. Mindfulness practices, just being aware of your body, what's happening within your body and your breathing, can help people sort of live in the present moment. And sort of building social connections, strong social networks and systems with friends, families, and communities can provide comfort and a sense of belonging, so that when people feel that they are a part of a greater community, they may reduce the fear of being forgotten or alone in death. So death anxiety is a deeply ingrained part of the human experience. While it can be distressing, it can also offer opportunities of personal growth and reflection on the meaning of life. And by confronting death, you can learn to live more fully, reducing the hold that death anxiety has on our lives. So, if yourself or others are struggling with death anxiety, then maybe seeking professional interventions may help you to assist in dealing with some of these fears. So that's it for today's talk. I hope you stay well, and I look forward to catching up next time. All right, take care. Bye bye.